Hi everyone, so welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be talking about the latest drama I just finished watching, which was Pit Babe, and how I think it's a crossover for an episode of NCIS meets Fast and Furious, where Dom and Letty are X-Men characters, stay with me, X-Men characters who have to dismantle a human trafficking ring, but by doing it as gay alphas. Now, I know that was a lot, but if you like my analogy and you want to see how I put those two things together, please put a like, comment, and subscribe, and comment down below what other omegaverse BL have you guys seen and whether or not you've read the novel. And let's begin. I recently just finished watching Pit Babe, and where do I begin? So basically, I was perusing through Twitter and I saw that Pit Babe was getting a resurgence because there is a season 2 that is rumored to be in the process of being filmed, supposedly. You can fact check me if I'm wrong. And I was like, okay, you know what? Let's go ahead and watch Pit Babe. Let's see what it's all about. And boy, oh boy, I was not expecting so much lore. One had actual stakes. Like, I finished watching it yesterday and I was bawling towards the last 3 episodes because it was getting too high stakes for me, and I'm just like, I don't know how they're gonna resolve all of this. But basically, Pit Babe follows the titular character Pit Babe, as he is the famous racer from X Hunter, and he's technically like the king of the hollows for all you race heads out there. He's like the Dom from Fast and Furious. My knowledge of Fast and Furious is a little fuzzy, hazy, mainly because I watched all of the movies in Spanish. When you live in a household where Spanish is the first language, that's how things go around there. And basically, Pit Babe is like the top of the top in the Hollows racing community, and our introduction to Pit Babe is kind of messy, I'm not gonna lie, because why are we in the locker rooms? Like, I understand this is, a BL and everything, but like, damn, no, like, hi, how are you? This is being like the top racer in the hollows, but I digress. Pit Babe, how he concentrates prior to a race is by having a little funsies in the locker rooms with potential friends. And this is where we get the introduction to the whole fact that there are 3 categories of humans. There's the alphas, the enigmas, and then just the regular folk, or the alphas who don't have special abilities. Now keep that in mind on the special abilities. So basically, Pit Babe's special ability is his senses are super heightened, so he has the best vision, the best hearing. Like, basically, he's on overdrive, and because of that, he gets overwhelmed prior to the competitions because he's hearing everything from the oil that's going through the motors to the pedals that are being readjusted prior to the race. And in order for him to calm down, he has to get a little TLC from another alpha. So we see him racing, he wins, Red Racer winner, upset because he's just like, the only reason you were so good is because of your senses. And we see that Pit Babe returns back to the locker rooms to decompress, and he's being stalked by someone. Now, when I was seeing this, I was a little confused. I'm like, why are we stalking people? This is odd. This is suspicious. This is weird. But we are introduced to Charlie, or how I name him Charles because that's Spooky Charles. And he runs up to Pit Babe and he's like, oh my gosh, like, I'm such a fan of you. Like, I've watched all your races and I'm really interested in becoming part of the X Hunter crew. Oh, so you're just a fan, you probably got into the wrong way. He's like, no, actually, I waited to see you. And that's when like Pit Babe's like, you need to go before I call security. And honestly, kudos, because I would have been screaming like, who the hell are you? Why are you here? You shouldn't be back here. But they strike a deal, in the locker rooms and is like, please, please, like, don't kick me out. Like, I'll do anything to be part of the crew, like anything. And Pit Babe being Pit Babe, he's like, anything? He's like, yes, anything. Like, you just tell me what to do and I'll do it. You need me to jump up? I'll say how high. Like, that's how down bad Charlie is to enter X Hunter. Pit Babe is like, okay, you're an alpha, aren't you? Charlie's taking him back, like, how did you know that? He's like, don't worry, you said you'll do anything, right? And they start a situationship. At first, everyone in X Hunter making bets like, oh, he's only gonna last like 3 days max. But Charlie, he's like, nah, he's never gonna get rid of me. And at first, I thought that Charlie was part of the opposing team, but turns out like Charlie just generally wanted to be part of X Hunter. However, it seems there's more to that. And that's where we start getting into the intricacies of the different subcategories of humans, with alphas, enigmas, regular humans, and then alphas who aren't considered like S tier alphas. Pit Babe is an S tier alpha, and the reason why we know this, the audience, is because we get to learn a little more of his backstory once him and Charlie get a little more acquainted, to the point where everyone at the crew is just like, darn, I think we lost a bet. One of the crew members who was a little agitated at this is Wei. Now, to all the Wei writers out there, you can keep him. From the moment he got introduced into the show, I never liked him. Something about his character just seems so off. Like, I don't know if it's just me, but it was getting a little weird and a little manipulative. So when Wei is sensing that Pit Babe is actually serious about Charlie, he starts putting like these little thoughts in his head, like, you've been changing, like, now you just seem different, like, ever since Charlie got into your life, like, you're just not the same. And Pip is like, I mean, I think change is good, but Wei's like, no, people truly never truly love us, they always want something out of it, and I feel like that's why Charlie's with you, like he's trying to gain something out of you. And Pip Babe is at first taken aback. He's like, yo, you're my best friend, like, I thought you would be happy about this, like, I'm in a stable relationship, I'm no longer having issues, like, I'm still winning the races, like, what's the problem? But Wei's like, no, it's just like, I just feel like Charlie has like a hidden motive. And now there's like this little animosity between Charlie, Wei, and Pip Babe. But mind you, Charlie, he don't even know what's going on. He's just like, I'm with Pip Babe and only Pip Babe. If y'all have a problem with that, that's between you and yourself and not I, because last time I checked, the relationship is between me and Pip Babe. So now that the relationship has been established, now we're getting a little bit more backstory as to why Pit Babe is considered, like, in my opinion, an S tier alpha. And we learn that in his childhood, grows up at the Chen Foundation, which is a orphanage that takes in children of all ages and genders, but mainly males, which is very odd and quite specific. Keep that in your little noggin. And they grow up in sort of like, you can consider like a boarding school, where they learn and grow in this foundation. And the reason why Pit Babe was able to fully use his senses or his abilities is because of the training that he received at the foundation. Now, during his time there, he notices things were just kind of odd. Like, the whole situation of the foundation is just odd in general. And he finds out that his father went bankrupt because of Tony. Tony bought his business because Tony wanted Pit Babe. Pit Babe obviously is not down with that, because you literally destroyed my life all because of my abilities. Like, that's kind of odd, that's very weird. And he just ends up leaving, and Tony keeps telling him, like, you'll come back, like, you will come back, all of you will always come back, which is so odd, because if you're a parent, the goal is to foster them so they can be a fully functioning adults and be able to live their own lives independently. But Tony has this air of possessiveness in a way that when I'm watching the show, I'm like, something about Tony just seems so odd. So Pepe gives his whole backstory to Charlie, and Charlie being himself, he's like, well, I'm so sorry that you went through that, but I will never betray you like how Tony did. But Charlie ends up being that person. But stay with me. This is how Pepe becomes an NCIS crossover with Fast and Furious and X-Men. Turns out that Tony wasn't just running a regular orphanage. No. It was a facility where he housed the S-tier alphas to train them to then sell them to millionaires. He was trafficking children. This was the true plot of the show. I was like, wait a minute, I thought we were just racing on fast cars and being hot and gay. What happened to that? But turns out, no. We actually have to crack down a human trafficking ring because children are being sold for the millions for their abilities. And in the process, X Hunter, the racing crew, is experiencing a bunch of weird events. First, it was Pit Babe's car getting damaged and he having a terrible accident. Then it was the crews being bought out by Red Hunter, because turns out when Tony said to Pit Babe that he was gonna make him come back regardless of the means, he was being serious. He ends up being a sponsor for Red Racer so that they can get all the monetary gains possible to beat X Hunter, and in the process they started buying out the crew that they have no manpower. And during this whole debacle of Tony now being involved in the racing game, they're implementing more deceptive thoughts to Pit Babe so he can continue to distrust Charlie. First, he starts recording videos of him getting really cozy with this new member that joined X Hunter, Jack. I can trust no one. The only person I can trust is Wei and the owner of X Hunter, Alan. That's it. No one else, no one more. But turns out that Wei, that conniving sly fox, was a double agent. Because guess what? Tony didn't just have Pit Babe as an adoptive child. He also had Wei. He also had Charlie. And he also had Jeff. And a slew of other people. Various industries. Because Tony is a businessman through and through. And he doesn't matter how he needs to get it done. As long as money is involved, he'll make sure that the buyer gets the best product. And that's the problem. All of the alphas are considered products. They're no longer people, they're not children, they're products. And that was like, oh my gosh, this is how it becomes an NCIS special unit episode. Because it's like you're trafficking people as commodity and exploiting them because of their abilities. And now, with the whole fact that Pit Babe, Charlie are having a fallout, Pit Babe doesn't know who to trust, and it turns out Wei is the double agent the whole time and putting all these thoughts into Pit Babe so that he can pick up a Charlie. This man is a menace to society, and basically he's trying to figure out how to break them apart because his hidden agenda is to be with Pit Babe as an enigma. So this is where the X-Men part comes in, and I know I'm all over the place, but this is just how my brain works. With the whole X-Men thing, he's like where he can infiltrate your thoughts by just putting his hand on you and he can read your mind. Sort of like Magneto. And Tony's idea was him to be with an enigma and the child that they produce to sell that baby. And Charlie tells this to Pit Babe, like, you confess, like, the real reason I got close to you is because I too was one of Tony's favorite children who escaped, and the reason why I got close to you was because I wanted to protect you from the fact that, hey, this man is trying to technically breed you like an animal. And Pit Babe is just like, this is crazy, like this man is vile, we need to like take him down. We learn that after Pit Babe had his accident, his senses were kind of out of whack. He no longer had his senses, and that's because Charlie's special ability is he can absorb the special abilities of the person he's having intimacy relationships with. The only way he can return the ability is if he dies, and that's a foreshadow. But Pip was like, don't even mention death to me. You're the only person that I have right now. Like, don't do that to me. Like, and Charlie's like, I'll protect you. Don't worry about it. We'll figure a way to take down Tony. All of this is said and done. We go these events where now that Pit Babe is injured, he can't race anymore. So now they have to find like a replacement, and that's when Pit Babe offers Charlie. And one of the other racers on X Hunter, Dean, is upset about it because he's like, I've been here for so many years and y'all just promoting this guy that just came like a couple months ago. Like, it's so odd. And they have their race. Charlie ends up being the better racer because, again, he has Pit Babe's special senses, but also like he's generally a good driver. Now everyone is ecstatic except Dean and Wei, and manages to figure out a way to take down Tony. However, Charlie and Jeff decide to have their own plan, and Jeff is also an S tier alpha. He can predict the future, and in doing so, he predicts that everyone in X Hunter is going to die. I don't know how we're gonna do this, but we can't change the future. Charlie's like, no, we'll figure out a way. So in the last race for the season, Charlie races with Wei and Dean, and Pit Babe decides he also wants to join the race because he's being on the sidelines and not being part of the race because he wants to keep his title as the King of the Hollows. So he joins the race, and Charlie is like trying to convince him, like, you shouldn't do this, like you're still injured. And again, we go into another fight where Pit Babe is like, you don't know what's good for me, like stop trying to like be overprotective. And they go their separate ways, and Charlie's still trying to like mend everything with Pit Babe, but it's just not working. So then they start the race, and everything is going a little too well, and then guess what? Charlie gets into an accident, and the accident is so severe that I genuinely thought they killed Charlie from the series, because the way they took him to the hospital, he was not responsive, he wasn't doing anything, and Pit Babe received all his senses back. I was like, oh my gosh, why would they kill my Pookie Charles? Like, no, Charles, my Pookie. So that whole thing was just so crazy. And during the passing of Charlie and everything, Pit Babe is distraught, not only because he lost someone he trusted, but he's like, my last conversation with you was me fighting with you instead of listening and telling you I love you more. And the whole funeral process, Pit Babe goes through like the worst depression that he's ever experienced. Everyone in X Hunter is trying to help him out, and at this point, Wei is no longer part of the picture. Pit Babe discovers through Charlie that the enigma that Tony was wanting to use to breed him is Wei. And Wei, being a conniving sly fox, he paralyzes Pit Babe and tries to assault him. Luckily, Charlie gets there on time, but it was so disturbing and disgusting how Wei made it seem like it was Pit Babe's fault for not seeing him and falling in love with him instead of going with Charlie and going against father's wishes. Like, it was so disturbing. Babe is able to get out of his paralyzation and beat the crap out of Wei, and they're able to leave. And Wei is just there like, oh my gosh, like, I always loved you. And it's just giving gaslit, gatekeep, manipulator, psychopath. So once Charlie passes away, Pip Babe isolates himself. He's like, I lost not only my best friend, I also lost my partner. Like, I truly have nothing else now. And that's when the whole crew at X Hunter is just trying to like help him. Like, no, we gotta figure out a way to like avenge him. Like, we need to take down Tony, because the whole reason why Charlie passed is because of Tony. And we find out that Charlie is alive. He took a serum that was able to suppress his bodily function, making it seem like he was dead. And this serum allows him to suppress his abilities. So Pit Babe is like going in and out of senses, and he's like trying to figure out like what is going on. And that's when he realized like, no, something is off, because the only way my senses are here is if Charlie is dead. And if Charlie is dead, why are my senses coming back? But afterwards, Jeff gets abducted because now he is the special alpha that they're trying to sell for his abilities of seeing the future. And the whole crew make up a plan to not only save Jeff, take down Tony, but also avenge Charlie. Because at the moment, no one knows that Charlie is alive except Jeff. They get to Tony's foundation through the help of Pete, who is another adopted child of Tony, who was the original Enigma that he was trying to breed his S alphas with, but escaped. And they get inside, and lo and behold, who gets reintroduced back into the show? Wei, which, you know, if it's a redemption arc, I guess I'll take it. But so, in the whole process of infiltrating the Tony's foundation, they're able to get files and videos showing that he was actually mistreating and harming these children, and they're able to release it to YouTube. The reporters on site for the auction that they infiltrated are receiving all these messages of Tony mistreating these children. And I thought, okay, the gig is up, the police are gonna come, like, we're all saved. This man comes out with an AK-47, and he tells his security guards, make sure no one leaves the premises. And one of the people who were at the charity auctions, he's like, I'm not gonna stay for this nonsense, the police will come and take care of it. Tries to leave and he gets shot down. And that's when I knew this man was beyond psychotic. He living embodiment of evil. Charlie comes in and saves Pete Babe, and they reunite, but in the process, bullets are flying, and Babe tries to save Charlie, pushes him aside, and Tony tries to take the shot, and Wei jumps in and saves everyone by sacrificing himself. Now, hit, I was like, they just like put pressure on his stomach. He'll be okay. He'll be fine. And, which is kind of terrible now that I think about it, but it's just like his character was just so, I just could not vibe with it. Tony takes this opportunity of seeing everyone trying to help Wei, and he's about to take the shot at Pit Babe, and Pit Babe is like, just do it, like, just do it, just hit me. And Tony aims the weapon at Charlie, and that's when the alarm bells go off in everyone's mind, because they're like, wait a minute, we just got him back, like, you can't do that. And lo and behold, the one person that Tony thought would never betray him because he's useless, he is stabbed in the back, literally and figuratively, by Kenta, the one that was providing all the information to X Hunter to expose Tony for all of his crimes. And that's how the show ends, basically. Like, Tony gets stabbed, he bleeds out, Wei dies, he also bleeds out, before having a confession towards Pit Babe and asking for forgiveness, and then asking him once again, did you ever love me more than just a friend? And Pit Babe reassuring him that no, I only loved you as a friend. Like, on your deathbed and you're still trying to see if this man ever loved you, like, buddy, it was 10 years. If he liked you more than just a friend, he would have told you, but he never did because he never saw you in that way. And it was just like, this is crazy to me. I'm so glad he's out the show. It was just too much for only 13 episodes. If this was a longer show, like maybe 30, 40, 50 episodes or something like that, where we fully fleshed out his backstory, maybe I would have cared a little bit more for Wei, but I don't know. Maybe in season 2 there'll be a backstory on Wei. Who knows? But that's how the story ends, and basically we have like a little happy reunion with Pitbabe and his father, Pitbabe and Charlie, Jeff and Alan. Ex-Hunter reclaims the title of the Kings of the Hollows, and it ends there. Much like Fast and Furious. It ends in a high after a lot of lows. Overall, I would give this show probably like a 4 out of 5. Not a fully 5 because I feel like there could have been a little bit more backstory, different species of humans. And from what I've seen on Twitter, the author of Pit Babe is taking out the omegaverse out of the show and the book. So I don't know how that's going to affect season 2. Generally, you can make an omegaverse and take out all the toxic parts out of it and still make it a good show, but I'm not a writer. So what do I know, But overall, I give this a 4 out of 5. I would highly recommend it for those who like high stakes shows with a lot to lose. Something that's a bit more melodramatic. If you like high intense shows like that, I would highly recommend that. And if you also enjoy crime shows, like it was sort of like a crime thriller in a sense, so I really enjoyed that part. The music was fun. I liked it. And I'm actually kind of excited. I'm intrigued. I'm more intrigued to see how they're gonna do season 2, just because they're taking out the whole omegaverse, but they're keeping the abilities. And that was my main gripe with why I'm not giving it a fully 5, because I feel like we need the evolution of how we came into having 3 subcategories of humans. That's my thoughts on Pit Babe and how it was a NCIS crossover through Fast and Furious with X-Men throughout the show. But if you guys enjoyed this video and my yapping, then click on my other videos that I have across here. I'll put a title card somewhere, and comment down below what other shows you're excited for 2025 and what you've guys been watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.